October 7, 1941. Dear Margie.
Just a line, dear, to say everything is okay for the weekend. We will be over Saturday morning fairly early. I am going to Mrs. D Friday night.
Can you corral a blanket, as I don't think there is much bedding at the cottage? So, until Saturday morning, darling. As ever. Roger XXXX. St. Catharines. October 17, 1941. Dear Margie. Your letter received yesterday, dear, and was certainly glad to hear from you. You apparently felt and still feel the same as I. We did have a swell time the last weekend, didn't we, dear?
I hope that is just a start for a whole string of weekends.
Len and I talked about the 1st of November weekend, and I am to write Sunday and see what is what. I hope we can arrange something definite.
We will go to Mrs. D's anyways, unless you can arrange something else.
I will let you know for sure by next Thursday. It's hard trying to write in camp tonight, as it was payday for some of this gang and it's just starting to show. There was quite a racket a few minutes ago. I can still hear them chewing the rag.
It will be worse after the beer parlors close, so I don't expect much sleep tonight, and I can stand some extra as I was at school last night. Haven't learned much to date, as so far it is all practice in handling instruments. I hadn't forgotten how, but am sure clumsy with my hands, so must limber them up a bit.
However, the course will be interesting and will keep me going.
Had a letter from mother, and apparently Gil graduated okay and has been transferred to the coast, so guess Enid will be going out there. She has most of her stuff ready and waiting for something definite from him. He is now taking up some advanced course in flying and real combat if he is good enough. He is in line for a commission, so that will please him. Don came home the other day with another lad in an old car. The brakes gave away going down the town hill and they smashed a wheel off at the waterfront, the only thing that saved them from a good dunking. I'm afraid he worries the folks some. I hear another car coming in and apparently the boys are pretty well loaded. Guess there will be plenty leaving the job in the morning. Well, sweetheart, I simply can't write any more, so darling, so long for the present.
I love you, Margie, and the 2 weeks is plenty long for me too, but we will do something about it soon, eh? All my love. As ever. Roger XXXX. St. Catharines. October 27, 1941. Dear Margie. I guess you were a disappointed girl when my wire arrived. I know that I didn't feel so good about it. I got rather a hard letter from Dad. Mother took a heart attack and is apparently pretty sick. The doctor won't let her leave her bed under no circumstances, so it sounds pretty serious. On top of that, Dad is forced to close up the business due to the war. This leaves him on the rocks. It's tough at his age, but he sounded more worried than discouraged. Joyce is coming home. When I came off the job Saturday night, who do you think was sitting on my bunk? None other than that young Jack. He stayed until Sunday afternoon. He is back at Trenton again. Well, darling, I guess that's enough about my family. It's much more pleasant to think and talk about you and I, especially you. I seem to see so little of you and must admit I get pretty blue at times. Even young Jack noticed it. You see, I was counting on seeing you until Friday night. In fact, the telegram would have been just the opposite in meaning. I wish we could have another weekend in Muskoka before Christmas. That last was the most perfect holiday I have ever spent in my life. It gave me an idea what you will be like in our home, dear. Oh boy. I expect we will be getting a raise in wages. The union has been here a few times and was at a meeting last week. Of course, they promised a lot, but if we get 85 cents an hour, I think that's okay. We had a real debate, another lad from the camp and myself, against the whole darn union, it seemed. However, it was fun and interesting while it lasted, and we did put our point across to the extent that it would be reconsidered. The argument was, could contractors pay the same wage on construction jobs as they do house builders? It makes some real deep debating. Well, darling, I guess the boys want the lights out. They are all in bed at last, so guess I had better fold up myself. Write soon, darling. I love you so much. As ever. Roger XXXX.